Yeah, just think, again, excited of what happened this past weekend. The way we came out after watching it on film, a lot of great plays offensively that we put out there. From a lot of different guys. It wasn't just one player that just really played well. There was a lot of guys, starting with our guys up front, our offensive line. It was their best performance of the season. We know offensively that's where everything starts, and just really proud of how they played. Did not give up a sack. Really didn't hardly give up any pressure really either the whole day. Both quarterbacks played really well, and of course our receivers had a great day. And then running back wise, did some great things. Tight ends were not as involved as much in the passing game, but did a phenomenal job blocking. Really proud about how those guys played. Defensively at times we looked good with some things that we did. I thought we rallied to the ball well. I thought we, gang tackled. The guys played hard, but again, just too many mental errors, particularly at linebacker secondary for the passing game. And then, the run game, I thought we did a decent job, really. Dylan's a really good back, but going back and looking at it, they hit the reverse on us, which is a well-designed play. Was about 35, 40 yards on that particular play in the second half. But, I think overall, just really proud how we continue to stick in there and continue to fight and not give in there at the end and won the game. And a lot of times as you look in ACC games, there's a lot. It's coming down to the wire. You can just pick any game. Really. Most of these games are tight, and you got to find ways to win. This week, we got a great opponent in Wake Forest. They're I think 19th in the country, and coaches poll 17th. So 5-0. Coach Clausen, his staff have done a fabulous job. I've been competing against Coach Clausen, I think, when the first time when he was at Richmond, he came to App State back in the playoffs. I think it was 2007. And ever since then, kind of followed his career. I was at Toledo. He was at Bowling Green. And, and of course, when he went to Wake Forest, being right there in the state of North Carolina. So, he's done a great job, man. These guys are always well coached. He's done a good job in redshirting a lot of players. And to this point in his tenure at Wake, he's been there long enough now to where, he's had to go through a full cycle of recruits. And, those guys have redshirted. They understand their philosophy. They know exactly what they want and to do offensively, defensively, in the kicking game. They're a very, very efficient football team. They're not penalized. They take care of the ball. The kicking game's good. I think their field goal kicker has not missed a field goal. I mean, just in everything they do, they make you have to go out and win the game. They're not going to give you the game. And that speaks a lot to what their coaching staff's done there and then what their players have been able to do. They have a quarterback that's playing as good as anybody in the country and put up some great numbers this year from what he's been able to do. I think he's only lost one game as a starter. I think he started midway season last year and has done a phenomenal job. 2 wide receivers, man, they're so impressive. They make contested catches. They're great, in traffic. So we know it's going to be a huge test for our team to go on the road, and a team that's as hot as anybody in the country right now. But we're excited and looking forward to the challenge.
Coach, Wake Forest runs the ball extremely well. They run about 200 yards per game. You guys just faced a tough challenge in a Boston College team that also runs the ball pretty well. What is it about Wake Forest's run game that makes it, just from what you've seen, makes it so difficult to A, defend, and B, what's the best way to kind of contain them? Yeah,
they're very unique and very different than Boston College. They're probably what they're running offensively is I don't know that anybody else in the country is doing it. The way they run their zone read, it's extremely slow. The quarterback's walking up the ball with the running back. The ball in the pocket of the running back, and then he can pull it and make those throws, or obviously he can hand it off, or the quarterback can run behind him. So it does make it challenging. You have to cover the receivers because every play is an RPO. They have the ability to throw it out there to any one of those guys, and they're so big they can post up a corner or a safety and be able to make those catches. So you have to contain the wide outs with that. So when you're doing that, your box is limited of what you have in the box, and so therefore these running backs and the quarterback are able to find these lanes and create yards. And it's tough. It's a tough offense to defend because the quarterback, if he's a good decision maker, which Jamie Newman is, then it makes it very difficult.
And can you just provide maybe an update on the QBs? How is Malik doing? How's Puma doing? Any update on either one of those guys?
They're Malik. practiced yesterday, and he's doing fine. He should be fine this week. I would say the status for Puma is probably very similar to last week. It's just a day-to-day thing. I wish we could give you more. It seemed like it's been dragging out, but it is what it is. We're treating it. It seems to be getting better every day, but until he's ready to go, we'll just have to hold him out. So that's kind of where we are right now. But Malik and Evan both are obviously ready to go and should have a big week of practice.
Coach, on Saturday, I was watching ACC Network after all the games, and they mentioned something about the offense that they said, quote, your offense is built to win shootouts. Mm-hmm. I know you guys had struggled with inconsistency early, but would you kind of agree with that? Do you see an offense?
Well, I'd like to think we are. I don't know that. I don't know where they got that, but I would like to think we are. We have some – we want to be an offense that has the ability to throw the football and or run the football. So, when we have the lead, we want to be able to run the ball out and grind that clock and keep their offense off the field. And then if we're behind, we want to have the ability to go down and score if we have to throw the ball. So we have enough weapons out wide receiver, and our running game should be strong enough to be able to do that. So, you have to be able to close out games. There's no question about it. You have to be a fourth-quarter team. You need a good field goal kicker, but because of how close a lot of these games are and what they're going to come down to. And you need to have a good defense. And our defense, gave up some big plays Saturday, but that last drive, we did a good enough job that we held them out, a field goal range. And so, it takes a complete team effort in order to get wins like that.
Scott, back to Newman for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The completion percentage, everything's there. But how much of it is his football IQ and intelligence? Because that seems to be off the charts for him.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to, as we talked about earlier. What I like about quarterbacks, one of the biggest attributes is decision-making, and it has to happen within a second, and that's why they're good on offense, because he makes it all go. If you're an RPO team, you have to read the defense pre-snap, then you have to read it post-snap. And I think that's why the completion percentage is high, because if the defense allows you to hit one of those little slants or hitch, he can see that, and he makes a throw, and it's a completion. So, but if you got to have that mental capacity to be able to do that. And he can, but he's also physically talented. He's got a big arm. He's a big guy. He can run. He's a total package, and I think he's playing that way now.
With as far as your quarterbacks are concerned, can you just kind of assess what, after watching the tape of what Evan did, and then also, do you call him Malik or Mikhail? Yeah, I'm calling him Malik. But if he wants me to call him Mikhail, I can. But he said Malik's fine, so that's what I know him as. So I think looking back, Evan played really, really good football. Made some big time throws on third down scenarios. Threw the ball away when he needed to, which was great. Earlier in the year, we were not throwing the ball away. We were taking some sacks, and so he threw the ball away when they were covered. Made some great decisions in the run game. The one play, the negative play he had was the exchange with the fumble there. And that could be attributed to the running back and him a little bit both. But that was one negative play. I thought he played a really good football game. And I thought Malik did too. Malik played his best game, maybe his best game of his career. He ran for some first downs. He ran for a touchdown, and then he made some great throws. And if you go back, as we go back and watch the film, there was 4 other plays. We could have been over a 400-yard day. Over a 500-yard passing day for a couple balls. Tutu had one right in his hands in the end zone. Number 18, Justin Marshall had one across the field right in his hands. There's a couple. Fitzpatrick on a third down late in the fourth quarter. It was a high ball, but can make that catch. He'll tell you she made it. So, man, we left a few plays out on the field. The quarterbacks gave the guys an opportunity to make plays, and that's why we asked for those quarterbacks.
As you get to the middle of the season, how do you manage the possibility of preserving some red shirts, and how much does that weigh week to week in your personnel moves? Yeah, that's a good question. We talked about that really at the beginning of the season, and you really assess it as we go through. It's kind of neat where these bye weeks are at, because it's 4, 4, and 4, and there's been some scenarios where we've played some guys in 4 games, and now we're kind of holding them back, hoping to try to redshirt. And then there's a couple other guys. Dorian Jones is one that we would like to play in 4 games. He hasn't played yet, but we want to get him in some 4 games, but still want to redshirt him. But we are very cognizant of where these guys are. So if they're not playing much, and how many games have they played, and then will they be available? We love to have them available at the end. And some of these guys we're developing right now.
and they're practicing as if they're playing like second team guys on special teams. So when the time comes later on in the season, we'll be able to insert them and feel like we'll get some good play out of them. And plus, they get to play; it gives them experience for the next 4 years and next year.
Unrelated question: with the Kentucky legislators jumping on board on the NIL issue in California, what do you want them to do, and what do they need to consider from your perspective?
I really have not looked at it very much. I mean, I of course it's out of my hands really anyway. Whatever laws that come down, we'll adhere to them and do it. I just know that I love college football. I love the way collegiate sports, amateur sport, people playing for the love of the game. I'm a purist in that respect because I just like that feel. I like. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It can go in a lot of different ways. I know we've been headed in that direction for many, many years now, and so I know something's going to happen. I'm just going to leave that in the hands of the lawmakers and see what happens with that. I don't want to touch anything with that. We'll see what those rules are and then move forward from there.
Coach, now that you have watched some film, looking at your secondary, what did you see that you hope that they can correct before Saturday, now that you're going to have a team that's a little bit more known for passing the ball?
Yeah, they can throw the football. One of the best passing teams out there in the country. And, a lot of it is tightening up the coverage, because if you play off of these guys, they're going to make you pay. They'll throw the underneath all day long, and they'll go right down the field. But then they're also capable of running the football. Sometimes you look at some of these teams that are – you spread you out, throw it all the time type teams. When they get in the red zone, it's a little more difficult. But this team's not that way. This team's built to be able to run the ball as well into the red zone. So you have to tighten the coverage down, and that's everybody. That's not just corners. I mean, that's safeties or your guys that are on your overhangs, number 2 guys in the slots. You have to tighten it up on them as well. And, I looked at – obviously looking at Boston College, they played Wake Forest. That was their last game. Boston College defensively did a very good job against Wake Forest, I thought. They tightened the coverage down. Wake had to make very good contested catches, and Boston College did a great job on first and second down against Wake. Now, Wake was 17 for 24 on third down. They're one of the best third down offenses in the country. And, that's where we got to be really good because you got to get off the field. But it's all about tightening up coverage.
Coach, obviously you have a big day offensively against Boston College. You guys have been good with time possession. How do you balance that in terms of the big plays you want, but also making sure the defense isn't too tired?
Yeah, we're not, we're a no huddle team, but we're not per se a tempo team. We can, get that, but we want to try to get in the best possible plays, and so but we really don't worry about time of possession. But I think when you run the football like we do, you end up eating up some of the clock. You end up, allowing your defense to recover on the sideline and make adjustments before they come back on the field. We're not one of these teams that'll go 3 and out in 30 seconds. I think that's not good team football. But we want to try to run the ball, be balanced. But I don't necessarily worry about time of possession. It just seems like at the end of the game, we've had the ball longer. And I think that helps our defense. So I think that's part of team football, and it helps teams win games doing it that way. And that's just the way we'll continue to do it. But we don't necessarily think about, hey, we got to have the ball for so long.
You had mentioned McHale probably having his best game of the year. Back-to-back games over 280. I mean, when he came into the year, people didn't think of him as a thrower. How much growth have you seen from him from when you got here in December to now?
Oh, yeah. He's gotten a lot better. I think he's starting to fully kind of understand our offense now a lot better. It's a pretty simple offense to be in as a quarterback. It enables them not to think as much, and they can just play. Because when you can get that run game established, then it's going to allow these guys to get open out here, and we got some playmakers outside. So now it's just a matter of getting them the ball. And for him, he started to get more comfortable. Made some mistakes and some errors in the Florida State game. Did a great job of really correcting some of those mistakes, and again, come out and playing his best game. The receivers had a lot to do with it. O-line had a lot to do with it. So we don't put it all on him, but I think he had some good teammates that played well also. But we're trying to simplify it for him and allow him to play fast and to not have to think as much. So proud of the way he played.
Because you were talking about redshirting guys earlier. Before all the injury issues, did it ever cross your mind to maybe potentially redshirt Evan Conley this year? And if so, why or why not?
Yeah, we've thought about it, but then, we said, there's probably not going to be a scenario where we could redshirt him, And then if Puma stayed healthy, and Malik were healthy, then that scenario would still be in play, But Puma's been out, he's been out for a month now. And, and to just you just have to have guys that'll be able to come in and play. That's why we've been preparing him all through August, all through September of, hey, you're going to have to play, you're going to have to get in there, and we had an opportunity to play him. In the WKU game, he got in and played well, and then of course, I think what I mentioned. After the game was that the bye week is when he gained so much respect from the teammates. And then, I think, it showed on game day this past week, where he's out there when we have to have plays made, and he's a true freshman and he made the play. A lot of credit to him for how hard he works.
Let's say that Juwan Pass is hypothetically ready to play this week. After what you've seen from Malik the last two games, how do you evaluate who's going to be the starter in your opinion?
Yeah, I think, it'll go back to practice and who's got the mentally who's got the best grasp of the game plan and really understands what we're trying to do and can help our team win. That's who will play. And then once you get into a game scenario, if whoever's playing is maybe struggling, and it's not so much for me, it's not so much physically, but it's more mental. If you're struggling a little bit mentally, then we'll go on to the next guy because I feel good about him. And I think if Puma's healthy and he's got a good grasp on it, then I'll feel good about him playing. I mean, it's just I think all three guys bring a lot to the table of what we're trying to do, and I think we've seen some good play out of all three of them. And albeit a long time ago for Puma, but it's but all these guys have made a lot of plays for us. So we'll see when that time comes. I hope he becomes available soon.
Wake Forest, their offense does a really nice job with ball deception. How do you really work on and sort of, just bring home the ball recognition skills that you are going to have this week?
Yeah, they do a really good job with it. It's I think more so than anything, it's about doing your job. I can't have my eyes looking into the backfield all the time if I'm supposed to be covering a receiver, because next thing you know, they're going to lull you to sleep and he's going to pull it and throw it to that guy. He'll be wide open. So you have to be very disciplined. Maybe at times patient, to where you may think I got to go make a play right here, but no, you need to do your job, stay on your guy, and that's the same thing for linebackers and or D line. If I need to get to this gap, get to that gap. Don't get out of your gap because we played Wake when I was at App 2 or 3 years ago, and it's real easy sometimes when he's riding this guy as a D lineman to think I got to get over here to get that. Just stay in your gap, because if you don't, he'll make you pay. So it's about being patient, about staying in your gap and doing your job, and that's what we'll be coaching hard this week.
Scott, given where things were when you guys got here, how much of your work and the coach's work has been physical versus mental and trying to build confidence and get the guys to a point where they can win a game like they did Saturday?
We're just trying to be consistent. I think from day one when we came in here, this is who we are. Here's how we're going to run our program. We're going to hold you accountable. We're going to ask you to do some things maybe that you weren't asked to do before. And we're going to ask you to give great effort, and then when you come into the building, have a great attitude. And I think that's what we've been trying to do. And I think when you do all those things, then you're going to be a good football team. I mean, you can, we haven't talked as much about the X and O part of it. In the off season, in the summer, it's all about giving great effort and coming to work every single day and being consistent. And that's what these guys, and I think now they're seeing a little bit of the fruit of that labor and that hard work. And we got to continue to do that. We're nowhere near where we need to be. We got to really clean up a lot of things, and that's kind of what we're continuing to strive on, and really trying to stay in the moment. Today, what can we do today to get better? We don't really step outside and look at the big picture. We want to stay right now, right here, right now, what we could do to get better. And they've done a lot better with that. They've gotten a lot better, just trying to really understand what the program's all about and where we need to get to. And I think when you focus on that, then the wins will come.
Obviously, as expectations for you guys coming into this year weren't very high. I think some people thought you guys might not even win an ACC game. Obviously, there's a chance you really should be probably 4-1. Mm-hmm. Do you talk to those guys about raising expectations? Because now a bowl game could possibly be in play.
No, not really. When we say expectations, we expected to beat Notre Dame. That's just our mentality. And so to me, it's just a daily expectation of competing every single day. You're competing every single day really up against yourself. Like, I need to do better today, as an individual. And when we do that, we'll be better as a team. So, again, we don't really focus on the big picture. We kind of stay right in the moment. And I think when you do that, you You just do the best you can do today, and that'll be good enough. And I think, we go back to when we were at App, we're winning a lot of games, after you win a championship, then you come back the next year, people are you supposed to win a championship? We don't even worry about that. We're worrying about right now. And then you win another one, and then you win another. I think when you start looking at big picture and worrying about all this other stuff, then you lose focus on what really matters. And that what really matters is how can I go today? If I need to lift weights today, I need to go as hard as I can in the weight room today. I think you just got to stay in the moment. Us as coaches and as a staff, that's what we talk about all the time. Focusing on the here and now and focus on the details, that's how you become a championship caliber team. You can't look at all the other stuff. Once you start doing that, you lose focus. So we want to focus on the details.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that Wake has done a nice job of being able to redshirt. Speaking of redshirt guys, of redshirting guys, when you were at App the first year, did you redshirt almost everybody? And is that the optimal thing that you would love to do in any year?
You would like to. Now, the optimal thing to do is if everybody you sign that are ready to come in and play right now. I mean, that means they're really good, So in every class that you bring in, there's going to be a handful of guys where, man, they can help you right now, So put them out there. Let's play them. We know what we're getting out of that freshman. We know we're going to get it for a few more years after that. And with this new rule, which is phenomenal, I love the new rule. It's one of the best things that college football has passed in a number of years. To allow these guys to play a little bit, it keeps them focused throughout the year, knowing that they may here one day they're going to get on the field this year, and not just I'm on the shelf, I'm redshirted. It encourages them to continue to work. And so once they get on the field, now they're going to get better. And so we want to try to play most of our guys in 4 games, and we want to try to redshirt most of our guys. But if they're ready to play, then we'll obviously put them in there to play. But it helps your team 2 years from now, 3 years from now, because you got these guys one more time. And all the work that you put in as a player and as a coach, investing in the time into that player, you're going to get back. And I think that's the key. Because the one thing you can't coach is experience. And so when you have guys that are fifth-year seniors and they played a lot of ball, they're going to help you win. I mean, there's no question about it.
2 guys on defense that were in the middle of a lot of plays the other day were Robert Hicks and Abdullah. What have you seen from those two? And it seemed like they played more.
Yeah, they did. Abdullah's always had the ability, man. He could fast, very explosive player. Just trying to find a role for him. Where can we put him and kind of put him in that outside linebacker role, and then Hicks as well. So we kind of moved Hicks. We've kind of moved Hicks around. Really, you can go back to the spring. He's inside backer. He's defensive end. He's got him at outside backer. To Hicks's credit, he's had such a great attitude over the last month and a half, and I think now he's starting to see, man, when you come to work that way, then you're going to have an opportunity. Back earlier, kind of wavering a little bit with his attitude and this and that. Really just kind of trying to figure it all out, really, and which is not uncommon for a young person. And he's really come around. He's really kind of bought in. He's like, Coach, what can I do to help the team? And we're trying to find ways for him to help the team. So he's on a lot of our special teams now. We've got him at a role as an outside backer as well. And I think we're going to see his, his role increase with that and probably get more snaps, because he has talent. He can run, he can hit, he can tackle. So there's a lot of things he can do for us.
And it's good that this is the last one. Coach, the amount of time between U of L's last ACC win and this one was about the time it takes for an elephant to have a baby. Do you think that the new male elephant at the zoo should be named Scott Satterfield?
Well, no, I don't think it should be named Scott Satterfield, but that's a pretty interesting fact that you brought up. But no, I'm just proud. I'm just happy for our guys. And I wasn't here, last year. I know I was dreadful for a lot of our players, but for me, this is all I know. We're 3-2, 1-1 in ACC, and we're looking to get more. We like the taste of winning, and I think hopefully this will entice our guys to continue to work even harder and have more detail every day when they come to work. And because I'm telling you what, that locker room was fun. I mean, you guys heard them yelling right down the hallway, and I want them to get used to doing that. And hopefully we'll be yelling a lot in Winston-Salem at about 11 o'clock Saturday night. All right, thank you guys.